Larsson. Oh, he's in! Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! O'Reilly, how about that for a pass? Jota! How about that for a finish? That is Jota for you! In for Henrik Larsson, and Moravcik! His first goal for Celtic! Here is Shunsuke Nakamura! Exquisite!
Hi folks, and welcome back to the Celtic Unrestricted View. I'm JP, and joining me in today's episode, my good man, Mr. Barry McCandless. Barry, it's good to have you.
Hey JP, thanks for having us. Great to be here at Paradise. Thanks everybody for tuning in as always, and looking forward to the chat, mate.
Yeah, and as you can see folks, we are down at Paradise. Thought it'd be nice to bring a different scenery to your viewing. As Barry says there, obviously looking forward to a good chat here. I thought it'd be nice, Barry, for us to come down and have a wee run through Celtic's current squad and where that squad is sitting. Obviously we've got our flag day this coming Sunday, and I thought it would be nice for us to come down and have a wee chat regarding the squad, mate. So obviously, just kicking us off, looking at the goalkeeping position. You've got Kasper Schmeichel, Sinisalo, and obviously now Ross Doohan, who in my opinion, Baz, really upgrades that department, because I don't like downing people for their abilities and stuff, but in my opinion, Ross Doohan is a better goalkeeper, probably more equipped now than Scott Bain. So what's your views there?
Yeah, well, looking forward to Sunday, obviously. What JP meant to say was another flag day.
Yes. Where's my manners?
So yeah, looking forward to that, and looking forward to going through the squad, because obviously at the moment there is a lot of panic in the Celtic fan base. There is a lot of concerns, a lot of anxieties about how the squad's going to look by the time the market's closed. So I think it's going to be healthy for us to go through it here and see if it's as bad as some think, or maybe we can find a wee bit of optimism in it. Who knows? But I think Schmeichel obviously picks himself.
Yeah.
He's going to be Celtic's first choice goalkeeper this season. And Sinisalo, to me, has shown he's more than capable of playing for Celtic from what we've saw. He came into the team last season when Kasper was injured, and he didn't put a foot wrong.
Yeah.
And as you say, Doohan definitely is an upgrade on Scott Bain. No disrespect to Bain, but that guy stayed, long past what I think most Celtic fans expected. So I think if you look at it just on paper, going into the new season, in the goalkeeping department, Celtic are stronger than what they were last year.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously Kasper, as we all know, he's a Danish international captain as well. He brings a wealth of experience to the squad. We saw that last season, Barry. He comes with a decent CV behind him as well. He won the Premier League as well with Leicester City. And then obviously Sinisalo comes in. But quite early on with Sinisalo, we didn't really know enough about him really. He was one of those goalkeepers that was kind of a myth, because he played, we know he was up here at one of the lower league teams, obviously down south. He played for Exeter, so we didn't really know because he hadn't been tested at that higher level. Yeah. But when he came in, mate, when obviously Kasper picked up that injury when he got last season, I thought he was remarkable, mate. I really did. I thought he was like a really new lease of life to the team. And by the way, something I will say as well, he's massively vocal.
Yeah.
And he shouts at the defenders and stuff, and that's what you want, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I think that's been noticed.
Yeah.
He is. He's got those leadership qualities, by the looks of it. He's no shy.
Yeah.
Because you think about it, coming into the Celtic team when he did, and it was really Kasper's injury that got him his opportunity to come in. Big pressure on him.
Yeah.
Big pressure, and yeah, so to be so vocal immediately in the team is positive signs, I think.
100%. Obviously moving into defence now, we'll start with right back. Obviously we've got a Canadian international, Alistair Johnston, and then we've got Anthony Ralston. Now Tony Ralston is one of those players, in my opinion, that splits a lot of hairs and splits opinions with the Celtic fans. You've got your views on him as well, Barry, as far as I know. And other fans think obviously Celtic need to move on from Tony. Another one that's, potentially could have stayed with the club longer than a lot of the Celtic fans maybe expected. But you've got to say, when the lad plays, he's like one of us on the pitch, really. He's a fan. But sometimes that can be his biggest downfall as well. I think he goes into tackles sometimes and you're going, Tony, what are you doing? Like, why are you challenging people going at 100 mile an hour? It's only obvious, mate, you're going to get a yellow card if not sent off the pitch. But again, mate, I don't like going in too heavy in players because these are guys that have also helped to bring success to this football club. But what I will say is, do you think we need a different player from Tony to come in and obviously help challenge that position with Alistair Johnston?
Well, I think AJ is first choice.
Yeah.
And rightly so. He's a really top player, and last season what we saw with AJ was huge improvements going forward.
Yeah.
He really did look like a different player at times. Those overlaps, obviously Nicholas Kuhn's left the club, he developed a great relationship with him on that right hand side. But for me, Canada International, I think he's a guy that could easily play at a higher level in terms of, bigger leagues, more competitive leagues. I think he would make that transition seamlessly. AJ is Celtic's first choice, and he's first choice for a reason. Tony Ralston, look, we all love his endeavour, and he definitely has qualities, and he's been a good servant to Celtic. I go back to when Ange first came to the club. Ralston was a key player for him at a period of time, so there's no doubt that he is a capable footballer, but the drop off from Ali Johnston to Tony Ralston's too big for me. If you lose AJ for any period of time, you're bringing somebody in who is just nowhere near his level. For that reason, I would like Celtic to look at options. It's difficult because are you going to get somebody who's going to take AJ's position? It's unlikely, and that comes with complications, because if you do get somebody who's at a higher level than AJ won't sit on Celtic's bench. So it's a delicate thing with squads. I think a young player, a development player somewhere, if Celtic could identify somebody like that.
Kobe Donovan?
Possibly. Just somebody to compete with Ralston for that kind of second choice position. I think that probably would be the ideal scenario for me.
Okay. Obviously, as you mentioned, AJ's Celtic's first choice for a reason. He is better than Anthony Ralston, and that's not a slight on Anthony Ralston. It's just the reality of where we are. Tony Ralston, for me, he's done an okay job, but he does split opinions amongst the fans. He does have games where he's an absolute nightmare, and it's been a nightmare for him in the day. That's not predominantly just his fault. He goes through the motions at. Whereas AJ seems to have, I've noticed the difference between the two of them. When AJ is not having the best of games and his technical ability wise, he's a good teammate. He'll run, he'll make tackles, whereas Anthony Ralston doesn't have a good game, in my opinion. He just falls right out of the game. Yeah. He just becomes inactive, really, and ineffective in that. So I do think you're right. You mentioned a guy, Nicholas Kuhn. I thought Alistair Johnston had a great relationship with him, especially overlap him and underlap him and all the kind of, passing back and forth to one another. So obviously Nicholas Kuhn's moved on. We will move on to that as we go. But predominantly I agree with you. I think Tony needs now, he's at a point now where he needs to really either, I don't want to say bucking up his ideas, he's been there long enough, but we need someone to come in and make that a freshness in there and really give something for Alistair Johnston to think about, in my opinion, Barry. Yeah. Moving into centre half, obviously we've lost a couple of boys, so Gustav Lagerbielke, Mike Nawrocki have now moved on away from the club. We know that Lagerbielke is a permanent move to Braga. Mike Nawrocki's went to Hanover 96. That is a loan deal with the option for them to take him permanently. So obviously, from those two moving out, Dane Murray's stepped forward from the youth. He's been out on loan to Queen's Park and he's done a spell there. So Obviously, yeah. What's your thoughts there? Do you think we need someone else? Because obviously, predominantly on that side just now, you've only got Cameron Carter-Vickers, Austin Trusty, Liam Scales, and then obviously Dane Murray comes into that equation somewhere, and obviously trying to fit himself in to kind of Brendan's thinking. So, do you think we need surgery in there? Because we do know that Celtic have approached Manchester City for Jemai Simpson Poussey, his name is. I know that name's going to go down a treat, by the way.
I'm trying not to
I know
say
you are, I know you are.
I really want
that
to.
That name's going to go down a treat with quite a lot of the fans, and obviously it's going to throw a real cat amongst the pigeons with certain, especially some of the media that come here as well. I think it's going to be very difficult for them to say it with a straight face. I did my best there, to be honest, but now I'm smiling just at the thought of it. But yeah, so obviously Celtic are looking to try and add someone else in that position. What about yourself? Do you think we need any surgery in there?
I think if you look at it, so Celtic are going to play a back four all season. You know, bar a game here or there, which is unlikely. Brendan will play a back four. So you're looking at the right centre back and left centre back. So for the left centre back, there's Trusty and Scales. Now, I'm well aware there's deficiencies between those two players, but there's also a lot of qualities between the two of them. And Liam Scales, again, you know, a bit like the Greg Taylor syndrome. You know, he does get a lot of flack. This guy
seems to be a massive scapegoat amongst the fans as well at times, doesn't he?
He's been excellent.
He has.
He's been first class for Celtic. You go back to where it all began for him, you know, and that mindset to make his way into the team for a start, and his performances. You know, it's like I say, I know it's been imperfect, but that guy's been reasonably injury free. He's played most games. He's won big games. He's had man of the match in Champions League games. And then you've got Trusty, who at his best looks like a real class defender. It just seems to be one of these players that maybe loses concentration and he's not quite switched on the whole time.
Do you think that's due to his opponent, Baz? Because I've noticed certain players, he can certainly look uncomfortable in that, you know, when players start getting in about him. And I know Ivan Toney tried it in the last game in Como, but he kind of threw him out the road as if he wasn't there. It was a more focused Austin Trusty rather than one maybe going back to the Simon Murray game, where Simon Murray gets in about him and really upsets his rhythm.
Yeah, the best game I've saw Trusty play, and I know it's a friendly, was against Newcastle.
Yes.
I mean, it looked effortless.
Yeah, he was outstanding.
He really was tremendous in that game. So my feeling is that left side of centre-back, between Trusty and Scales, I think you've got enough there, you know, to go through the season. And if one's not performing, the other one can come in.
Yep.
So I don't think Celtic will go out and do any business in that area. The right centre-back position is a bit more debatable because CCV will play every game for Celtic. If he's fit.
If he's fit.
Yeah. He has had some injuries.
That's a worry.
So that's a concern. Dane Murray has looked brilliant in pre-season. I think most Celtic fans have observed that. And Brendan has spoke highly about him.
Yeah.
You know, you get the feeling Brendan's maybe want to do a kind of Chris Ayer on Murray. You know, he'd sent Ayer out on loan, he brought him back in, and he made that position his own. Dane Murray, is he going to play in the first team for Celtic whilst CCV's fit and injury free? No. Does Brendan see him as somebody he could rely on if CCV was out for any games, or does he see him as somebody he can bring in to allow Cameron to have a rest at certain points in the season? I don't know what Brendan's thinking about that is. I don't think we've saw enough of Murray, so you could make a case that we could be doing with another centre back for the right hand side. Again, Inamura's at the club. I know he's been playing left back, but he was signed as a centre back. But he's also a left-sided centre back. So if Celtic are going to do any business there, I think it would be a right centre back.
Yeah, and that's probably why they have now approached Man City for Jemai himself, because obviously he predominantly, from what I've read and heard about him, he plays on the right-hand side as well. So, but he can also play on the left as well. So yeah, he does seem pretty comfortable with both positions. That is an interesting one. Obviously, we'll need to wait and see what happens there. I do think we do have other priorities that we're obviously going to go on and touch upon. You look at the left back position, Greg Taylor's moved on, and obviously Jeremy Jeremy. Don't know where I got Jeremy for. Probably Frimpong is what I'm thinking of, because we get Frimpong money in there.
You would take him back, wouldn't you?
Oh, definitely, aye. I don't think Liverpool swallow that one, do you? But Jeffrey Slip's moved on, and obviously Greg Taylor moves on to Pauk over in Greece. In comes Kieran Tierney. Obviously the Celtic fans are very well versed in his name and lyrics and everything else that comes along with that. So obviously Kieran comes in and it's like he's never been away. He's come in, it's a seamless transition, fits right into the squad. But then, as you mentioned, a man that's come over from Japan for a very little fee of 250k, Hayato Inamura. As Barry touched on there, he's predominantly a left centre back. But Brendan obviously has moved him position during the pre-season. He's came in, he's played a few games now, and he's slotted in like a glove, in my opinion. He's came in and obviously... So in terms of the left back position, do you think we're okay there?
I think for a start, not saying anything that's no common knowledge, Kieran Tierney makes Celtic a better team. He has an upgrade on Greg Taylor, who, by the way, was a brilliant servant for Celtic.
Yes.
And I'm sad to see Taylor go. I don't think amongst our fullbacks now, we don't really have the qualities that Taylor brought.
Yeah.
We don't really have a natural inverted fullback. But to compensate that, you've got a flying left back in Kieran Tierney.
Kieran Taylor?
I know.
That'd be alright, you combine the two of them,
That's where I was going with that.
Greg Tierney.
That's it. So Tierney improves Celtic, and as you say, Inamura, I mean, it was worrying when Brendan made comments about him when he first signed, to the effect that he maybe would need to go out on loan. But it was just as exciting after his first game when Brendan went back on that and said, do you know what? What I seen there was pretty good.
Yeah.
And every game he's played, he's looked apart. His range of passing,
Yep.
Comfortable on the ball, happy to bring it forward, looks a confident guy as well. And I've not saw any issues with his defending either. So all things look well there. I think as it stands, we're probably okay in that area in terms of Tierney will be first choice and Inamura will help out.
Yep.
And then to summarise that, between the goalkeeper and the defence that we've just went through there, I think it's fair to say Celtic are stronger in those areas of the pitch.
Yeah.
We've added Doohan to the goalkeeping, we've added Tierney to the back line. So my position on it at this moment would be we're stronger in those two areas.
Yeah, because right away you're stronger with Kieran Tierney in defence, because obviously what he brings and the way he plays and everything else. So yeah, I would agree with you, especially if they're all fit and ready to go for the season opening. So yeah, I definitely would agree in that aspect. When you look at Ross Doohan as well, he's an upgrade in the goalkeeping department. So yeah, we definitely have done a good bit of business there, especially in those two areas that we've let a goalkeeper go, we've brought one in. We're two left backs for last season away, and we've technically brought two in. Well, Inamura's not really a left back, he's a left centre back, but Brendan obviously sees him because his attributes, how good he is in the ball. I mean, look at his ball down the line just the other night, Saturday there, to Yamada, who obviously we're going to touch on as we go as well. It's just unbelievable. The pass, just to swerve it round the corner and pick him out was just really, really good. And he's done it previously in other games, like one into Engels, when Engels takes it and we create a chance off the back of that against Sporting Lisbon. So yeah, it's something I've noticed when Inamura, and he's very, very comfortable with the ball, and I'm really happy with him.
I can imagine right now a lot of the viewers will be saying, but it's still the same defenders in terms of Scales, Trusty, and I do understand that. That is going to be a question mark.
Mm-hmm.
Should we be looking to upgrade in those positions? I just think for what you're going to spend, against the risk involved in that, plus you've got two centre backs for that position, I just don't see that happening.
Well, I think the aspect as well, Baz, you've got to look at the development of each player as well. So players are also getting better under this manager.
Yeah.
Because that's what Brendan does. He makes players better.
Yeah,
And that goes, for me, that goes really unnoticed at times as well. So I think players are getting better under him as well. Could rhyme off a big list of them who have already developed under him. Maeda being one of the noticeable ones right away. Hatate. So these are guys that came under a previous manager. They became better players under this one. So into midfield, obviously we've got Callum McGregor, Rio Hatate, Arnie Engels, Luke McCown, Paulo Bernardo, And we've added now Benji Negrin. Have I missed anybody out?
I think that's the main core.
The kind of nucleus in the central midfield. So yeah, what's your thoughts there?
Excited.
Right.
Really excited about the midfield. Again, I think probably since Ange Postecoglou came to the club, you could argue that's been our strongest area of the pitch. You know, we really have been really vibrant, dynamic, creative in midfield, you know, with that midfield three. So
Apart from Oliver Abelgard.
we don't need to mention that. You know. But Callum McGregor's going to play as the number 6. Callum McGregor's the kind of engine room of Celtic, and he'll play that position. It looks like it's going to be, from what we've seen in pre-season, Hatate and Nygren are going to play there, and it's early days, so you do have to go forward with caution, but Nygren looks a top player. His mobility, his passing range, you know, his ability to keep the ball, I think he's far better with his back to goal than Arne Engels, and I think that's the big area I've noticed. And that's what you want. You want to be able to, you know, play balls into midfield and trust that your midfielders are going to hold on to it.
Yep.
And he looks like that guy. His numbers for his previous club are really high in terms of goals scored and chances created. So, to me, that will be as it stands now, your first choice midfield. And then you're supplementing that with real quality with Arne Engels, Luke McCown and Paolo Bernardo, who, when you're talking about Brendan improving players, I think that's one to watch.
Paolo Bernardo?
Yeah, because he's been unlucky with injuries.
Luke McCown as well.
Luke McCown to an extent, you know, but I think Bernardo's got a higher ceiling than McCown, although McCown's an excellent player to come in as well. So between the 6 of those, it's, you would say, that area of the pitch, we're better. We're actually stronger in the midfield than what we were last season, and you would expect Arne Engels would be getting better as well under Brendan. So yeah, the midfield looks all rosy in the garden, as they say.
Yeah, I think when you mentioned stronger, mate, I think that adds with obviously development as well as Benji Negrin coming in there, because that's a player ultimately we didn't have last season.
Yeah.
People were saying we never replaced Matt O'Reilly. You're probably right, we didn't, because Arne Engels wasn't that player. I think the Celtic fans thought that he was going to be, and that's where I think the Celtic fans' mindsets went, Barry. In terms of Arne Engels was coming in to replace Matt O'Reilly.
Like for like,
but that didn't happen. So I think that's a wee bit, that's upset a lot of the Celtic fans, because he still had a recognised amount of numbers last season in terms of goals and his top assist up to now in his career. But he is only a young lad. Personally, I don't get the kind of the dislike for Arne Engels. I think he brings a lot to the Celtic side. He brings a real good energy, a physicality that we haven't had previously since his arrival, and just a real freshness to the team. It really helps out guys like Callum McGregor. Instead of doing all the running himself, Arne Engels chips in with that. So, but no, I think you're right, mate. I think we've added real quality in terms of Benji Negrin as well. We've only seen kind of small flashes of that, but I do think he's one of the ones that will come in and really prosper in this, especially in this arena.
Yeah, and I think on Arne Engels too, listen, he had a good season last year. He played the majority of games for Celtic, and Celtic done a double and very close to doing a treble.
Yeah.
And they got to the knockouts of Champions League and more than held their own against a top Bayern Munich team. So Arne Engels was a key part of all of that success.
Yeah.
So I think you've made a really good point there, though. He's not Matt O'Reilly.
No,
And,
isn't he?
you know, I think with the price tag, he replaced Matt O'Reilly in the starting team. That maybe was the assumption a lot of fans made.
Yeah.
He's a different kind of player. And in his defence, he came from a team that played defensively.
Yeah.
His main job in central midfield for his previous club was to stop attacks. He's been asked to do a different role at Celtic. So Brendan's coaching and his methods are going to take a wee bit of time with Arne. But it would be great to see an improved version of him this season.
Yeah.
You know, that's, again, if that is the case, once again you're stronger, because although it's a player that was already there, he's improved. So again, I think, you know, the midfield, going back to the goalkeepers, into defence, into midfield, right up until this point, Celtic are stronger as a squad and as a starting 11 as would be my view.
From the goalkeeping position, defence and into midfield.
Yeah, I think so. You go for, you've got better choices as backup for your goalkeepers. You know, your defence is stronger because you've added Kieran Tierney. Your midfield's better, we think, because of what we saw of Nygren and Engels' capacity to get better. So up until now, I would say, going into the new season, right up to that area of the pitch, Celtic are better.
Yeah, really optimistic about it myself, mate. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it kind of unfolds and what kind of trios Brendan decides to go with, and certain, because different matches will change, you know, because of obviously the amount of games that we play as a club. So I'm really optimistic about that myself. Now, this becomes the main issue, the Celtic, the squad just now. And a big gripe from the Celtic fans, Barry, would be the fact that we've sold Nicholas Kuhn. As yet, we don't have a replacement in. One thing I did want to mention as well, on this time of recording, it is to be believed that Celtic have approached Liverpool for a defensive midfielder Stefan Bajcetic. Seems to have a decent CV about him. Obviously, he's went out to Red Bull Salzburg and he's went to Las Palmas on loan. But Celtic really want to get a deal done where we can bring the lad on loan, because I do think he's had a couple of injury worries. One recently that he's had to just have a small operation on to get a small matter fixed, but obviously now looking to get himself established again. And then obviously with the obligation then, should that be okay, the way kind of similar to Paolo Bernardo, but obviously with an obligation that means Celtic then take the lad permanently from Liverpool. What's your early thoughts just on that quickly?
Yeah, I think it is a position that a lot of us have spoke about, the need to have somebody there, not really to compete with Callum, but more to give him the chance to rotate and to have somebody else in that area of the pitch.
Yeah.
You know, if Callum was to get a suspension or an injury. So I think it makes sense Celtic would be looking at that area. I think the profile is good as well. You know, playing for Liverpool, I would imagine Brendan Rodgers will still have ties there. He maybe even have one eye on their kind of academy players and stuff. So yeah, it makes sense. I think hopefully Celtic have learned from the mistake they made with Adam Ida, where they didn't insert an obligation to buy, and we ended up paying more than we probably should have. Having said that, the likes of Jota and Cameron Carter-Vickers, we've done this before and put those obligations to buy in. So it's worked before. Why not? Yeah.
It has worked before, and it's been something that's been very successful for us. Obviously, Tomoki Awata comes to mind as well when we've done that deal for him. So yeah, definitely. But as I said, we're now at an end of the field where we do, in my opinion, need some surgery in, Barry. And I would say more now than later. We are starting the season, and the Celtic fans are going into the start of the season slightly worried. Would be nicely putting it. Probably the word to use is severely panicking.
Panic stricken.
So we've got obviously Yang and James Forrest and Dyson Maeda, who predominantly play in the wide areas just now. So definitely, I mean, looking at that, mate, just off the batting, I know Marco Tellio can play there, but we've all seen Marco yet, and we've not seen anything from him really that would give us any incline that he's going to be either sticking around the place or... And I think that's fair to say, because, again, we've only seen small snippets of him, but in the small snippets we've seen him, in my opinion, Barry, the lad just hasn't done enough, unfortunately, and I don't know, in terms of, and Brendan said, I said this in Monday night's podcast as well, I can't get into Brendan said, so I don't know what Brendan might be thinking, but I know Brendan well enough as a manager now, having him here for 2 spells. I don't think Marco Tellio was going to be in his thinking for going into the next season, so I'm majorly shocked, and I'll hold my hands up and say, look, I got this wrong if that is the case, if that does come the case. I know, but I'm just saying, in the off chance when we're recording this, if Marco Tellio plays for Celtic next season, then I'm going to hold my hands up and I'm going to say, look, I got that one wrong, but I can't see it just now. So yeah, it's definitely an area of the field that we do need surgery in, mate.
Yeah, I think the optimism leading for goalkeeper, defence, right into midfield is going to be heavily curtailed here. This is an issue at the moment. So for me, if you look at Dyson Maeda as Celtic's number 1 striker, right? I know Dyson plays it in the left. and Brendan has played him through the middle. But if we assume that Brendan is going to go with Daisen Maeda as his first choice striker, Adam Ida as a second choice striker, and Shin as third choice. In terms of the strikers' positions, I'm happy with that. You know, I'm happy to go into the season with Maeda as the first choice striker.
Do you think that'll happen though, Barry? Because my thinking is Brendan's not done it once over pre-season. He's played him out in the wide left.
I don't think he's had the option to do it in pre-season, just because Kuhn's away, Jota's injured. So
Yeah.
I think if Kuhn was here and Jota was fit, you'd probably see Maeda playing through the middle, I
Yeah.
think. So I do believe that's what Brendan will do. I think he'll play Maeda first choice. Ida, as much as there is some negativity towards Ida, we all recognise he's a top player. And his goals to games is good, and he scores in big games. So he's almost a perfect backup striker, you know, to rotate and allow Dyson to rest and come in off the bench. And then you've got Shin, who we don't know a great deal about, but for what we saw early on, you know, I could see that working.
Yeah.
And again, there's not a lot of pressure on him. You know, it's almost kind of, there's no risk there if that is the case. So again, if Celtic go with that approach, right all the way through the team, you know, if we've analysed the squad, even up to the strikers' positions, I would be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we would have improved on last season if that is the case, because Maeda, ideal first choice, Ida helps out, and Shin comes in as the third choice.
Yeah.
I'll let you comment on that, and then we'll go over the wide positions.
Well, I mean, I think you're onto something there with Maeda, and I do agree with you. I don't think he's had the option to do that in pre-season. Although I was thinking along the lines he's not done it yet, because he did have James Forrest, he did have Yang still there. Even in pre-season, he could have used both of them in one of the matches to play Maeda through the middle, but he hasn't done that. I think we all know, folks, that Maeda is naturally a centre forward, so it's not something that you would need to give him a trial in, because we all know he's capable of doing it, isn't it? So I get that side of it as well. It's one of those ones, when the season starts here in Sunday, then I think, you know, I wouldn't be surprised to see Maeda through the middle. But I'm going to hold reservement for that, only because of the 45 minutes of what I've been told about Yamada, because that's also, I mean, you look at that guy, he's got explosive pace, first and foremost, before any technical ability comes in for me, Barry.
He's rapid.
That's what I'm going to say. That absolutely annoys the life out of teams, and it absolutely kills teams as well. Not only that, mate, I noticed a physical presence about him as well, because he was getting in about it. I know he fouled a couple of the Al Ali players, but and the other aspect, Kyogo was a bit lighter, and he was on receiving end of being bashed in a few times. I don't see that happening with this fella, and that's only 45 minutes. And again, I can only go on what I've seen in terms of video footage, and I wasn't privileged on Saturday to be able to take in Saturday's game. It's the first one I've missed the whole pre-season, but everything that you've even told me and the lads that are on the channel have told me about him, things are quite promising. And listening to Dan Olowicz for Japan and speaking about him, I don't think this lad's here just to sit on our bench, mate, and hold the jackets. I really, really don't. I think this lad's here to go, hold on a minute, Brendan, I'm worth a shout for this team. Adam Ida, I think you're bang on, mate. He's a striker that, in a front three last season, they break a record for the first time since 1978, I think it was. They score over 60 goals between the front three. Now we've had guys like, through the years, we've had guys like Henrik Larsson, Chris Sutton, John Hartson, all in our front line. I'm not saying these guys are bad players, but they never managed to do it.
Henrik was all right.
Henrik was not bad, wasn't he? He was all right. He was all right, I suppose. I'm probably doing him a disservice a wee bit there, but they never managed to hit over the amount of goals, and when they played together. So, I in the forward positions, I think we're fine. I think we're absolutely fine with Maeda through the middle. I do think, obviously, with Jota's injury, however, that's where we come up with problems. And a lot of Celtic fans predominantly don't want to see Yang play. Now, I've seen a lot of development in the lad. I was here when we played Newcastle. I thought he was outstanding. He gave Matty Targett a torrid time that day. And so far in pre-season, I think any game he's played, he's been really good. He should have had a brace against Ajax before we'd even started to, they started racking up the goals in the second half against us. In the first half, I thought it was a disservice against us. I thought we should have been in maybe 2-3-1 up. So yeah, you look at Yang hitting the bar, then his goal was a great finish. For me, I've seen a lot of development in that player, and I really think that there's more to come for Yang. Brendan Rodgers mentions in one of his pressers recently that he has a starting winger now. So the fans read into that he's only saying that because we don't have other people there to combat him with that position. But the wide areas, mate, are two of the obvious areas I think we do need surgery in, definitely.
Well, I think this is the area of the pitch where Celtic need to act fast. I think it's atrocious. And you know me, JP, I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
I always like to see the best, but the wide options at Celtic at this moment in time are atrocious. And that's firstly down to numbers. We don't have any wingers.
Big Alan actually says that we're a Yang injury away now for playing Hooper Huddlehound out wide.
You know what a game, Alan?
Get Big Alan on.
No, James Forrest's been an amazing servant to Celtic, and how amazing was it? One of the highlights of the season last year when Jamesy got his goal.
Yeah.
The stadium was absolutely rocking. It was amazing, and he's still a really competent footballer.
It's only one goal he scored last season as well.
But he still comes into the team and he helps, and he performs well, and he can play for the start as well. To allow people to rotate. But for me, you speak about Yang, and there's been a lot of improvement in Yang, a lot of development. The proof is in the pudding with Yang, because Brendan Rodgers, there was an exodus of players that Brendan Rodgers get rid of, and Yang wasn't one of them. And he's played them in Champions League, he's played them in derbies from the start.
Yeah.
So there's an element of trust there with Brendan Rodgers and Yang. But to me, what you've got at Celtic now is you've got two second choice wingers.
We need to get his girlfriend there, Mer, don't we?
I know.
We need to get her here, because the form he was in when she was here was just, it was like prime Neymar.
Yeah. So you've got Yang and Forrest, to me, would be kind of backup wingers. That's their role within the club, which is an important role, but that would be the role, which means you need two first choice wingers. You need two. Now, Jota's at the club, who is a first choice wide player, but he's not available. So Celtic need, as an emergency and a priority, need to sign two first choice wide players. These need to be guys who, it's not an exact science signing players, I get that, and it doesn't matter how much money you spend, there's no guarantees, but Celtic need to be throwing everything and the kitchen sink at getting two wide players to start. Yeah,
I totally agree. I do agree with Barry. I think it is atrocious that we're in this position where we don't have the cover just now. So obviously we went through the team, we went through where we think the deficiencies are in the team, and obviously where we think the upgrades have been, Baz. But obviously touching on, just slightly before we finish up, mate, touching on the game here on Sunday. It's Flag Day, starting a new season, mate. Playing against a team that we finished off the season with at the end of last season, and we only drew with them. So they've made an array of changes to their squad, as far as to my knowledge is. Who they are, I don't know. I don't know what they're capable of yet. But St Mirren, for me, Baz, are always a really tough opponent. And I would just like us to see us start the season. Ryan always says it, Flag Day is a pumping, and it normally is a doing for the other team. Pumping day, aye.
We're not calling it that.
No, we're not calling it that. Sunday's a nice day. It's a normal day.
Pussy guy signing, and we'll get pump day. Come on, stop. We're not that type of club, honestly.
We aren't even turning into that type of club, even though we're getting linked with these people's names, But no, obviously, Sunday coming, mate, what are you expecting yourself?
Well, probably, what Ryan's expecting. I expect Celtic to win comprehensively.
Yeah.
My only concern going into Sunday is there may be a bit of negativity in the stands, just with the lack of signings. At the time of recording, we're early in the week, so hopefully by the time the game comes around, maybe Celtic have got a player, or even if they want to be really good to us, get two players in, two wide players. But yeah, looking forward to the game. It's the first game of the season, first competitive game. full stadium, Flag Day, you know, champions again. Just looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. The football's back, so obviously it keeps us all happy and gives us a fix that we've maybe not had for a wee while. But as Barry says, obviously we're looking for Celtic to start the season off really, really brightly. Get in about St Mirren, fast paced, really hit them at a high press and just basically take the game away from them really. And really show them, listen, we're champions and we're champions for a reason here. But yeah, as Barry says, I want to touch on that as well. So hopefully, as Barry says, we're early in the week recording this, so we do definitely want even just one signing, Barry. Just see if it just gives us
something.
To give the fans a different thought process.
Yeah.
Because I agree with you. I think there'll be certain elements of disgruntle in the stadium on Sunday, and that's not. But in my opinion, that's not what I want getting into the stadium on Sunday, because I want to see Celtic back and obviously starting the season well. And the last thing you want is people having to go to the club, and you know that's not where we need. We need what's the word I'm looking for? Camaraderie. We need a proper together feeling, because we're pushing into a new season, and the last thing you want is people speaking against the club and going against the club that way, just because we've maybe not signed one or two players, mate.
Yeah, and do you know, the only thing I would say is that the frustration is tangible, you know, and it's realistic, because Celtic signed Kuhn for, was it £15 million? Sold Kuhn.
I was going to say that.
So
we broke our transfer record and I don't even know.
So they've got that money sitting there, plus they're cash rich anyway. So, you know, as Celtic fans, we buy all the merchandise, we come to the games, we subscribe to Celtic TV, you know, we give. And we get back in abundance with the club in terms of trophies. But, listen, you know, Celtic have got the money there. Go spend a wee bit of money on these wide players, even if, and I'm not a big advocate of this, but even if you need to pay a wee bit more than what you think you should, go and do it and get these players in, because we're going to need them.
Yeah, 100%, mate, and I think you've summed it up perfectly for my wee chat today. So, for all you that have tuned in, hope if you are new to the channel and you like what you see, please hit the like button and subscribe. It's totally free to do so. Thanks, Barry, for coming on and having a chat with me.
Thanks, JP. Thanks for having me. Thanks, everybody, for watching.
Yeah, thank you. And as I say, we all look forward to the game on Sunday. It is on Sky. It's a 4:30 kick-off. I just want to touch quickly on that. I think that's ridiculous. I think Celtic fans should be going to the game on Saturday and not Sunday. But again, we could probably do another podcast just based on that alone, mate. But for the time being, take care, hail, and we'll see you all again.
Hail.
Bye-bye.
Sets up Larsson here. Larsson. Oh, he's in! Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! O'Reilly. How about that for a pass? Jota! How about that for a finish? That is Jota for you! In for Henrik Larsson. And Moravcik! His first goal for Celtic! Here is Shunsuke Nakamura! Exquisite!